So when you think about what artificial intelligence systems can do, people tend to exaggerate things in a wrong direction because people talk about singularities and people talk about the possibility that maybe artificial intelligence systems would sometime replace us and our jobs will be lost and so on. But that would not happen ever because artificial intelligence systems are just computations. I mean, in terms of being a computation, probably they would go farther than we humans can go in terms of arithmetics and in terms of data analysis and in terms of dealing with big data. AI would be far superior than us humans. But in terms of living, they would be always inferior to us because let's face it, we are talking about artificial intelligence systems, not artificial life. To live is something that would involve handling of uncertain situations and non-typical challenges and overcoming obstacles and contriving to come together and somehow take in all these necessary materials from the environment to support our lives. And that is life, and that is something we are capable of, no matter how logically or arithmetically inferior we might be. But that is something that artificial intelligence systems are totally incapable of because they are systems based on computation, not on life. And life is not equal to computation. People talk about, for example, the simulations of the Earth's climate in a computer. And, of course, we can reproduce some important aspects of the climate change, the effect of carbon dioxide, for example, on the average temperature of the Earth's atmosphere. We can do that in a computer. But that doesn't mean that the entire event of what's going on in the Earth's environment is reproduced in the computer. I mean, it's something else. Mathematically speaking, we are mapping from the Earth's climate onto the digital bits in the computer. And in order to do that, we have some assumptions, we have some coding systems, and we have some clever mathematics. And these are very valuable aspects of today's science and technology. But having said that, it's not equivalent to actually having the Earth's climate system in this digital bit of box. And the same goes for our life. We might claim that we have a model of a human in a computer, and people talk about whole brain emulation and mind uploading and so on. But these discussions are always done in the context of computation. And as I have been saying, computation is based on this idea of mapping and some coding and some clever mathematics, and which are all valuable, but that is not equivalent to, the life itself. We are living beings, and here I have the 6th editions of Principles of Neuroscience, a really wonderful book, and it has all these wonderful bits of brain's biological aspects and all these wonderful illustrations and texts. They represent tiny snapshots of what's going on in here. I mean, in my brain, in your brain, and all based on cellular mechanisms. And we are living. And there are all these wonderful details of cellular and subcellular and intercellular processes that go on in the brain. And, we might say that, given certain conditions, given some assumptions, given certain mappings, we may say that a tiny bit of that process are reproduced in a digital computer. We may say that, and we may claim that in some ways these digital computations that go on in the computer are superior to what's going on actually here in our real biological brain. So people say that maybe through mind uploading and whole brain emulation, we can create eternal life, and they are entirely free to have that kind of illusion. But at the end of the day, that's not equivalent to life. It's just make believe. I mean, it's just some, you know, really toy model like representation of the world based on some, sometimes doubtful assumptions. So we cannot ever make artificial intelligence systems equivalent to the life that actually is here. And, you know, of course, in other aspects, computational systems are far superior than us. I mean, they are able to handle a larger number of data. They are able to calculate accurately and more rapidly and repeatedly without ever being tired. But, that's not equal to life. And, we are sometimes under the illusion that some system of competition can be equivalent to life, but that is just a wishful thinking. So, if you look at all these things with some balanced vista, you would realize that artificial intelligence systems are never going to be equivalent to life forms, and they are not going to live for the foreseeable future, at the least, and they are equivalent to or superior to life forms only under some assumption of mathematical mapping. And this is something that we should be always careful about, not to regard something that is not actually living as living. And we can fall under that illusion very easily. So that's my thought for artificial intelligence system today. And meanwhile, I'm really glad that I'm living. To live is something beyond competition, and to live is something probably inferior to competition in terms of the sheer number of algorithmic complexity that you can handle. But we don't actually care. I mean, as long as we live in this rudimentary, organic, wet material that we are, we actually don't care so much about computational complexity and so on and so on. Yeah, that's life. So artificial intelligence systems are not living.